Here are my keywords for the day. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Justin Paez, and today I'd like to begin my speech with a quick analogy. Currently in our world, we are going through a war that's being fought by our main focal point today, Ukraine and Russia. Now, I did say we are going through that war. You see, wars usually have major cascading effects, hitting multiple different countries. To put in different terms, take Ukraine and Russia as a couple of rocks, and their war and aggression is them being dropped into a pond or a lake. And of course, once those rocks hit the water, they create ripples. These ripples are the effects of the war on the rest of the world, us included. In the Americas, countries in Asia and Europe, a lot more than you might think. War in and of itself is a damage fest for all parties, involved or not involved. And it seems a little strange that the goal of war, once it begins, is to finish it. But regardless, I have a couple of solutions for our specific ordeal. I believe that building inner confidence within aiding countries and holding solidarity with Ukraine will resolve this war and put an end to Russian violence and hostility. In overview, I'd like to specifically highlight America as one of the countries affected by the war, how it has caused increased inflation, and I'll explain how we can combat that in order to rebuild our nation's confidence. Then I'd like to hit on many countries and organizations that need to pull any support or connections that they have with Russia, while at the same time adding that support onto Ukraine. Now, believing in your own nation and believing in yourself is the most important component into believing in another. Now, many people use this saying while speaking about being courageous in school or with relationships or job opportunities, but it actually fits in this scenario. A number of countries outside of Ukraine and Russia have been affected by the war and the decisions they've had to make because of it. Now, according to NPR, or National Public Radio, Russia is the third largest producer of natural gas and the second largest producer of oil. That means they are major partners with many countries because of their oil and gas exports. However, with the decisions they've made, many countries have had to stop trade with them. But that means that we have to find a different way to get these resources or decide to tough it out alone lacking that resource. But when you lack a resource or have low supply of that resource, but high demand, there's a major uptick in those prices. For example, in the United States with gas, or now just about everything. Those major uptick in prices are called inflation. So the war, predominantly, along with a few other things, has caused this issue in America. Our dollar is much less valuable, and with price of just about everything going up, people cannot buy the same things that they used to. That has left us Americans discouraged and our government unwilling and unable to aid other countries. However, there is a solution for this. I believe we need a little bit more of leveling of the playing field. If our government or a number of different large corporations can incentivize civilians to spend via what I call investing in the people, then that can add more money supply in America. The example that I'm most familiar with is in the stock market. There's a financial trading system called Webull. Now, Webull has offered a nationwide deal where if you open an account with them and deposit literally anything, it can be as small as a cent, they will give you money to invest, or if you decide to spend it somewhere else. Now, this is putting money in the hands of the people, which is increasing the money supply of our nation, and it's giving the U.S. more flexibility to help not just themselves. Now, continuing our earlier discussion of Webull, I recall a close friend of mine earning upwards of $200 by doing this deal with Webull. This is just a short example of how to increase demand amongst the people in order to rebuild our economy and get us back to where we need to be and where we can help others. Plus, once we've handled our own issues domestically, it'll allow us to help Ukraine in their fight. Now, Ukraine's adversary, Russia, they are a large foe, and it'll take a lot for them to be handled. Just to give you some context, Russia has almost 100 million more people than Ukraine. Their land area is exponentially larger, and they've been recognized as a powerful country for much longer than Ukraine has. However, they are wrong in this scenario, and Ukraine cannot fight them alone. That's why many countries, America included, have put what is called sanctions on Russia. Now, according to BBC, sanctions are penalties imposed from one country to another, usually because one country is acting aggressively or breaking international law. They also continue to say that sanctions are some of the toughest actions countries can take on another, short of going to war. Now, also by BBC, they stated that Russia earned over $100 billion in the first 100 days of the war with Ukraine off of their oil and gas exports. But that was prior to many sanctions that were placed on them. Now with these sanctions, Russia's economy cannot get that money from those exports, and that means they're in trouble, and sooner or later will have to end their aggression. Now it is important that we place these sanctions on Russia, but the real impact comes from the amount of countries putting these sanctions on Russia. That is why, based off of Euronews, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has reached out and stated that he'd like the G7 political organization to intervene and hopefully end the war by the end of 2022. Now, G7 is a political forum that consists of 7 high-ranking countries, as Germany, there's Canada, France, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Now, G7 has stated that they will continue to support and aid Ukraine for as long as they need. Now, this is the best way to isolate Russia and keep pressure on Putin to hopefully accept any terms of peace or compromise. Now, G7 is a great political committee, and they can help Ukraine in the war with Russia, but to really put a nail in the coffin, we need more countries and more groups standing together with Ukraine. In fact, there is a major conference happening today, June 29th through June 30th, called the Madrid Summit. Now, the Madrid Summit has many country representatives coming together in Spain as part of NATO, or North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now, NATO posted their agenda on their website, detailing what they will discuss on many different strategic concepts on many different issues around the world. However, the main topic of concern is how to help Ukraine in their fight against Russia. Now, the best outcome that can come from this is hopefully just more overflowing support towards Ukraine, while also pulling many partnership deals that people have with Russia and keeping pressure on Putin with those sanctions. In conclusion, a country's morale lies with its people, so building up their strength is the key to unlocking the ability for them to help others. And once everyone is working together, peace can realistically be achieved. Because all we want is for this war to end, to save money, most importantly to save lives, and to keep peace. Standing together is the best way to stop a bully, and that's exactly what we have to do. We can also rush to our cell phones to voice out our changes that we want to happen. And that is the best way we can use media, because a growth in optimism within a country for another country is the best way, and it will increase our chances of helping that country. Then, once we join efforts with that country, we can push their foes to the brink of surrender or in search of a peaceful resolution. Now, I'd like to end my speech today with a quote from the very famous author J.R.R. Tolkien. He states that the world is full enough of hurts and mischances without war to multiply them. The world goes through enough issues day by day, so we just need to end this war as soon as we can, because we have the outlets to help do so. All it takes is some action. Thank you all for listening, and have a great day.